If you are struggling to overcome a poverty mindset or other blocks and barriers that are ramifications of your past, this episode is for you. I moved out of home at 16. This was because my home environment was simply unsafe. Issues with trauma and neglect and a variety of other things just basically made living at home untenable. It was basically I moved out or would have fallen into a state of total and utter depression and probably wouldn't have survived. I was already self-harming and dabbling with addictions and all of this sort of stuff and, well, I had to leave. My partner at the time, I'm no longer with this person, but we moved out together and she was facing similar issues at home. So we moved out and we still wanted to get through high school and university and do all the other things that you want to do in life. But in order to survive on our own out of the home, it was tough. I lived off government support, handouts. I lived off charity. I lived off part-time work that I did whilst I should have been studying. I remember being so poor that I needed food to eat for dinner, and there was a sort of learn how to cook for teens and young adults class. It was free. It was run by a charity. I knew how to cook. I knew how to cook well, but I didn't have the money to purchase the food to cook. So this charity would teach you how to cook. It was free. And at the end of that teaching you how to cook, you got to eat the food. So every time that was on, I did it. Why? Because it fed me. I remember getting bags and bags of effectively, wasted product from charities where the charity would receive donations from the local supermarkets of food and produce and cereals and other things, very low quality and also out of date, things they could not sell but were still technically edible. And I was living off that. I would live off the home brand, the poor stuff, and while there was really sort of no ability to spend on anything for me beyond the bare necessities. It was survival for quite some time. And, this episode I want to talk about a poverty mindset and overcoming that and sort of moving to being able to offer big offers and charging my worth and all of this sort of stuff. But back then I'd always been poor. My dad was living off government support his entire life. He was unable to work and was getting handouts from his family. It was a bit of a family tradition at this stage, but I did not like this. But I had no other choice. What else could I do? I had to survive. I had to study. I had to keep going. Eventually, I completed university and got a job as a full-time teacher. The partner at the time and I broke up and, we moved on. And since then, my financial situation has improved. Externally, at least. But internally, I have what I think is called a poverty mindset. And basically what a poverty mindset is, and you will have these for everything in your life. You will have a mindset that is caused by the circumstances of your upbringing. If you are raised in a loving, caring, safe environment, you'll have a secure attachment, and that will impact how you judge the world. If you are raised in a neglectful, dangerous, abusive, intolerant, racist, insert anything into your home life, that will impact your life moving forward. It can't do anything but that. You are a product of your environment crossed with your genetics. That's how people work. So you will have these blocks and barriers and things, living in the shadow. If we look at a Jungian shadow work perspective or the inner child or different parts or whatever sort of way you want to look at this, but these things are impacting you. And well, I had a poverty mindset. I had a mindset that to spend on myself to get anything other than the necessities was a waste. It wasn't necessary. And to be honest, I felt like it wasn't worth it. I wasn't worth it. Who am I to get something, to waste something on an experience? Who am I to buy something that I want when there's so many things that I need? Who am I to pass up a bug? And who am I to, not get the thing that will last longer? It's all tied in because, well, I had no money. And if you are listening to this and you've grown up in a similar environment, you'll understand this. One of the prime examples of this is, or one of the things that you start to realize is as you sort of move away from the the home, as you start moving away from the things that caused this mindset, for me it's the poverty mindset, you start to see its implications, because when I was living it, it felt normal. That's just what I had to do to survive. When you're in survival mode, you just survive. You do what you can, and you deal with the complex PTSD symptomology later on. But you think it's normal. My dad was a drug dealer, and I thought everyone's dad dealt drugs, and everyone's dad smelt like weed, and everyone's dad, popped in to see clients on a regular basis. I thought that was normal until I realized it wasn't. And the thing is with this poverty mindset, I keep having these discoveries. And the prime one that I wanted to sort of mention here, which is the embarrassing part, was every time I went to a shopping centre, I would always park on the outside as far away as possible from the entrance. And I was asked by someone in the car, like, why are we parking so far away? And my instant response was, because someone like me doesn't deserve to park undercover or close. I felt ashamed of myself, of my car, of my station in life. And why would I, of all people, be granted the privilege of parking undercover close to the entrance? And God forbid if the parking was paid parking, my God. So to be clear here, I had this internal block that blocked me from feeling worthy of parking closer to an entrance. Now imagine that multiplied across every aspect of my life. It is exceedingly hard still to buy things for myself, things that aren't functional, that are just fun, relaxation, things that are more of like an experience rather than a thing that is necessary. It's hard to spend on luxuries, even when I have the money for them. But of course, that's the first half of the story. The reason I'm sharing this half or this podcast right now and talking about all of this is twofold. Number one, chances are that you have an equivalent poverty mindset or some other mindset that relates to your upbringing impacting you right now. You probably know some of it, but trust me when I say those tendrils go deep and, well, you can start to take action to unpick them. And the way I know that you can do that is because I am doing it myself, and I'll talk about how. But I want to let you know of the turning point that happened yesterday. Just yesterday, I released a package, a container, a offering on my website called the Immersion Intensive. And to do this offering, I am charging $10,000 US. 10,000. Now, that's a massive, massive sort of hurdle or thing for me. Because here's the thing, for me to charge such a high amount, I have to believe myself to be worthy of such a high amount. To be able to believe that I am worthy of such a high amount, I need to know and feel secure in myself first, and also know that what I am offering is worth that much money. Now, for the latter, the offering is worth that much money. I will link you to it and you can have a look through, and what people will be getting will be worth well more than that, because the transformation that I'll be able to give them when I work with them will be absolutely 100% life-changing. But I'm not, in this episode at least, I'm not going to talk about the Immersion Intensive. I'll put a link so you can check it out, but that's not the point. The point is that I am able to now offer or put out an offering, ask for such a high amount of money. And, some people listening to this will be like, that's not high. Well, cool. Let's do it. Let's work together. Hey? But, relative to where I was, literally living off government handouts and charity and, eating, off food and not being able to spend money on myself and all of these things, not knowing my worth, that is a lot of money. It is an exceptional amount of money. So how deep do these tendrils go, and how can you overcome them in your life? Because, money is a major thing. I work with a variety of clients one-on-one, and, I look at and discuss and talk through their financials with them. And, money worries are a thing for people, on very small amounts like I was, or quite significantly larger amounts, 5, 6, 7 figures. Sort of regardless, people still have money woes, and they still have these sort of internal battles and internal issues to unpick. Someone that wants to step into their financial sort of prime, wants to earn their, ideal wage, earn enough to not only survive but thrive, earn enough to live off comfortably, be able to put money aside to be able to live their dreams. To become that person, you have to know your worth. You have to believe in yourself. You have to become someone and something and just know in yourself that it's okay. And this is a slow and long process. It is, or it was at least, very hard to even consider charging anyone for my time. I would talk to people and connect with them and just, effectively help them for free. Now, I'm not against helping people for free. In fact, I've put all of my books out for free online, including How to Get Your Shit Together, which is all of the stuff that would have helped me when I was 16. I put it out for free because if you were me at 16, you couldn't afford anything, and a free resource like How to Get Your Shit Together would be the best thing for you. And it's free, so you can get it for free, and you can just download it. Once again, I'll put a link to that, and you can get the PDF, all of that good stuff. But I would offer everything for free and just my time. And, I'm sitting there poor, hungry, and nonetheless, I'm doing effectively counseling work with friends, family, and strangers and acquaintances and all of these people. And they're telling me that they're getting help from it, but I'm not able to charge. Why am I not able to charge? Because I don't feel worthy of charging. It seems like a contradiction. It seems like something that's like, well, you need money and you should just ask for the money for services. It is not that simple. You get this learnt helplessness. You get this idea that you are someone who doesn't deserve it, that you are someone that will always be poor forever, that you are, just one of those people that doesn't have money, that you don't deserve it. It's this sort of cyclical thing, because when opportunities arise, you don't know how to capitalize. You don't know how to even ask. And you fall into the old patterns because you and the people like you and the people around you and the way that you learnt to adapt and process and just sort of be in this world was one of poverty. So in order to overcome all of that, in order to start charging your worth, or this is at least what worked for me, I have and I still am ongoing constantly trying to uncover the different aspects where these tendrils of the past are bringing their head up. So when I notice myself saying something that relates to my, past prior poverty mindset, I'll put a flag in it and go, okay, well, I'm not going to park undercover unless I'm not going to park away from the entrance unless I want to. If it's raining, if I want to park undercover, if it seems like the thing to do, I'll park undercover. I can park where I like. There's no restrictions there, like practical. The reason I'm saying this is I've discovered that little poverty mindset. It's like, oh, I need this thing. Which one am I going to get? Am I going to get the bare necessities, or am I going to get something that, is not just functional, but also is a brand that, represents something that I like? Am I going to get something for myself? Am I going to go, oh, I'd love to go see that band. Maybe I can reward myself. I'm trying to unpick where these tendrils of the poverty mindset are arising and either address them or at least acknowledge them and note that they're there. That process requires a lot of meditation and self-care and shadow work and introspection and all of these things. Speaking of shadow work, I will link you to a free shadow work journal PDF, and that will grant you some internal access. For those that aren't aware of shadow work, it is looking into all of these repressed, pushed down parts that you for a variety of different reasons no longer have access to, and the process of turning your attention inside and internal helps you to unlock. It's sort of like it's an inner practice, it's inner child work, it's uncovering the different parts of you. It's all very similar and very related, but basically the practices in this free PDF will help you to start uncovering your own inner blocks and your own poverty mindsets and help you process them. Other little blocks that I've noticed in myself that I'm trying to address. When I go away on holiday, I'm like, oof, I don't want to, it's hard for me to go away because it's an expenditure. I don't deserve to relax, all of these things that keep popping up. But then when I'm there, it's like, well, how much money do I spend? It triggers all of these past thoughts. The way around that is to either have a minimum payment, i.e., I know that I'm going to spend X amount of dollars over this holiday, and I make sure that I do. Yeah, have a minimum amount that you're going to spend on the holiday and then actually spend it, not try to save it. You're there for the experience, and you don't want the experience to be yet another misery penny pinching experience. You want to enjoy the holiday. That's why you're there. So like I said, what I'm trying to do is note down whenever these things are arising and address it. Note down when I'm trying to save pennies when I could be earning dollars. Yeah. Note these down and either combat them, do the opposite of them, or at least note when they arise. And when they do arise, I look inwards. Where is this sensation held in my body? And I know exactly where it is. Lower left abdomen, sort of a bit above the hip joint. There's a part of me that sort of holds this trauma, and whenever I'm feeling this sort of poverty mindset arise, that part of me flares up. The body keeps the score sort of thing. So I treat it, I massage it, I stretch it, I do all of these things to heal that physical location. The other thing I've been doing is education down the path of self-care, psychology, meditation, but also in direct opposition to the poverty mindset, to that block. So I'm educating myself in sales. I've done sales courses. I've done self-confidence courses. I've done all of these sort of educational things, both physical books, podcasts, videos, and, in-person seminars and events and all of these things. And paid money for them too. Paid for education. What a revolutionary mindset for someone with a poverty mindset. But you have to get yourself out of that. How do you get yourself out of that? Well, you directly challenge it with introspection and with knowledge to fill those gaps. Because here's the thing. If you've, like me, had a neglectful and abusive past, there are a bunch of stuff that you don't know because you were neglected and then you moved out of home, so you never had access to learning that. And the trauma causes you to have maladaptive responses to things. All of that stuff has to be unlearned, and you have to relearn all of the stuff that, the people without these mindsets just do naturally. Right? How do you do your taxes? How do you sort your finances out? How do you budget? How do you spend? How do you know when or how much to spend on luxuries and on holidays versus on the needs and necessities? How much do you put away? All of these things have to be basically self-taught. And then if they are self-taught, how do you validate that information? So now you have to look into validating information and trusted resources and sort of cross-referencing, and then, finding friends that aren't also with the same poverty mindset. Because if you ask people that have come from the same past, i.e. the people that you will be connecting with and resonating with, they will give you the same advice that you've already been implementing that simply will keep you trapped. This is why a lot of self-improvement people say you've got to change your friends, or unless your friends can sort of grow with you, you'll have to leave them behind. And there is some truth to that, because I tell you what, people that I knew back then that haven't sort of tried to grow can't or won't understand what I'm doing. Or more directly, they think that by me focusing on money, by me making an offer like a $10,000 offering, that's me effectively abusing them. Why? Because the people that were abusive to you were the ones that had the money. Therefore, money itself is a source of pain. Money itself is a source of trauma. Money itself is triggering. Oof, isn't that an interesting thought? What if you were triggered by the idea of earning or by money? Or whatever, your block is for you. Imagine trying to, make it. But the thing is money might be triggering, money might be overwhelming. The idea of having money might be sort of causing this sort of complex response, but you also need it. You need it to survive. Add to that the pressures of having a family and kids and all that sort of stuff, and you start to see what's going on here. So in addition to this $10,000 offering, I also charge well for my time. I'll link to the coaching on my website as well, but I charge at the moment $200 for a 90-minute coaching session. And I've got voice text coaching and packages and other things, but ostensibly, that's a pretty high rate. It's quite a high rate, higher than I've ever earned in any other thing before in my life. But I charge it once again for two reasons. Number one, what I'm offering people and what I can do with people based on my experience, based on my knowledge, based on my wisdom, based on my intuition, based on my ability to introspect and connect and sort of, help and see and respond and guide other people through their sufferings. What I'm offering them in that 90-minute session for that price is well worth it, and much, much more. So what I'm offering them is worth that price. Number one. And number two, one of the things that I've realized is you can say and charge whatever you like. The market gets to decide if you're worth it, right? The market gets to tell me if I'm overcharging. Simply put, if I had dabbled, which I would have and did prior to sort of getting through all of these monetary blocks. This is years ago. It's like, I'll do this for free. Do you want to work with me for free? I can talk to you. Very weak attitude. And then it's like, maybe I should charge. Okay, well, what am I getting when in my my normal job? Okay, I'll charge that $35 an hour. Once again, weak sauce, because I'm offering more than my $35 cafe making coffee per hour wage, right? What I'm offering in these coaching sessions is far, far, far more valuable than a ability to make tasty coffee, right? It's not that my hour is still the same, as in I'm putting in the same time, but what I'm producing with that time, what I'm creating, the worth of that time is worth far more. And I should charge far more for it. And I do. And the market is telling me that price is justified. Why? Because people are paying and continue to pay, and the customers and clients that I'm getting continue to come back and pay that price again. So it's worth it, right? But to be able to say and sort of hold space for myself to charge the $200 US that I'm currently charging, over time that will rise, and also the immersion intensive, the $10,000 offering, I have to be able to hold space for myself to be like, I can charge this much. This is how much I am worth. This is how much this stuff that I am doing for you will be worth. In fact, you will get more value for it than this. This is a bargain. But I have to hold space for myself to know in myself, in my soul, that I can, with a straight face, comfortably, without being triggered, without being overwhelmed, without pulling away, without, sort of backing off, without self-sabotaging, charge and accept and do the work for that much money. And that requires a massive, massive ability to overcome the poverty mindset. So I guess sort of what I'm saying here is multifolded. Number one, if you've got a mindset issue, like a poverty mindset or any other issue that will relate, it could be an attachment issue, it could be a relationship issue, it could be a trust issue, it could be a self-worth issue, it could be, a self-sabotaging or, following your dream sort of issue. You could be holding yourself back in some capacity. If you think that I could help you with these things, check the link to the coaching, check the link to the immersion intensive. I might be able to help you. In fact, I'm sure that I can help you. But more importantly, you can start helping yourself. Like I said, check the free PDF to the shadow work and how to get your shit together and start working through it. Start introspecting. If you haven't already, start meditating, and start educating yourself on the blocks and barriers and things that arise. Something arises, something that you're like, oof, someone like me doesn't do this, or I'm not worthy of that. Right? Those are the sort of triggers and things that you need to start seeing for yourself. You go, ooh, someone like me doesn't, or someone like me never, or someone like me can't, or similar language. That sort of similar language of like, I don't do this or I can't do this. That sort of language is exactly the pressure point that you need to push back against if you want to grow. In order to become more, you have to go through the pain of rebirth. By me offering this or putting out a $10,000 offering, that's me stepping out of or breaking out of the cocoon and becoming the transcendental butterfly that can charge his worth. And I've just released this. I've just released this offering, so I'm yet to have anyone buy that offering. It will come though. It will come because I will push it, I will market it, I will jump on, discovery calls, and I will be able to do it. And I know in myself that what I'm offering is worth far more than that, and I know that I will be able to hold space when someone decides to pay that to work with me. But how do I know? I guess I know because of two reasons. Number one, I've been building myself up, charging more and more over the time, so I know that it's sort of like a stepwise progression. But number two, I know because I am so goddamn sick of my own bullshit that I can't help but break through this barrier. But to get to the ability to break through the barrier comfortably, I've had to do tremendous amounts of inner work, like the shadow work that you can do through the PDF and all of these other things. I've worked with coaches, I've worked with therapists, I've worked on myself tremendously. I'm literally doing a master of counseling so I can upskill to help my clients, but also to be able to help myself. I introspect and meditate daily because I'm sick, or rather I was sick of the poverty mindset holding me back. I was sick of, turning away and not sort of doing the things necessary to get what I want in life. Or even more specifically, believing that I wasn't able to have anything that I could possibly want. I wasn't allowed to have wants. I was just able to barely fulfill my needs. And I would look at everyone else, not just with their needs fulfilled, but also their wants well fulfilled. And I would sort of judge them, but also be jealous of them for being able to just spend on themselves. Spend on themselves possibly too much. Overindulge on it when I couldn't do anything. No more. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that for multiple reasons. One, it's not fair. Two, because by being stuck in a poverty mindset, I can't help other people get out of that. And I'm, one of the core things that I want to do is help other people that want to go from surviving to passionately thriving. People who had a troubled childhood like me, neglect and abuse, that want to push down this entrepreneurial path, spiritualists, survivors, these sort of people. It is possible to overcome these poverty mindsets. It is possible to do so. I guess I feel like I'm sort of getting into a rambling rant on this one, but it is something I'm passionate about. And to be honest, I'm proud of myself being able to get to this stage. Literally from moving out of home and living off charity to be able to ask and offer a $10,000 offering. That's unheard of and something that would never have thought would be possible. Until it is, and now I'm doing it, right? So that's sort of what I wanted to suggest. And like I said, if the idea of working with me is appealing, there'll be a button below on the website, click through button in the show notes, all that good stuff, where you can jump on a discovery call. We can chat through, work out these blocks, see if working together will be up, will be good for both of us. I want to make sure that the people I'm working with, I can benefit them, they can benefit me, in the sense of, I want to be able to pick and choose my clients as opposed to being forced to work with everyone. Once again, just before I sign off, that is another poverty mindset thing. It's like, I've got to work with everyone. I'm based on everything. No. You niche down. I'm dedicated to helping people that are basically similar to me. Entrepreneurs, spiritualists, people that want to go from surviving to passionately thriving. People that are sick of their shit and want to push through. People who want or need to have someone listen to their problems, listen to the things going on in their life and hold space for them. People who want to basically have their higher self reflected back. People who want guidance and support through a dark night of the soul. Who want support looking into themselves, into the shadow, into the child work, and reintegrating with the parts of themselves. That's the sort of person I want. And I want to be able to pick and choose who I work with because, well, it makes my work enjoyable, and it means that I can do the best job. If you are not one of those people, grab those free resources, enjoy. If you are one of those people, jump on the call, let's work together. And if you're not one of those people, that's not me saying shame on you, go away, yada yada. It means that there will be there will be people that would better serve you with your unique circumstances and situations. It's every time I talk about finding a coach, finding a therapist, finding a teacher, finding a social gathering, whatever it is, find the things that suit and resonate with you that will help you to grow. What works for you will not work for someone else and vice versa. So it's about matching client to practitioner. Niche down. But once again, in the past, the poverty mindset would be like, help everyone. But by trying to help everyone, you can help no one. So like I said, I will put the links to how to get your shit together, free PDF download. I'll put the links to the Shadow Work Journal PDF. I will put a link to my coaching, as well as a link to read more about the Immersion Intensive. And I just want to leave you with the guidance here that if this talk has helped you to identify where you might have a poverty mindset or similar mindsets that are restricting you or holding you back, you can overcome them. Step one is to, introspect, meditate daily on those barriers, on those blocks, and sort of really turn your attention towards them. When you notice yourself saying, someone like me doesn't do this, or I never do that, that's a red flag where you go, okay, I need to look into this space. When you discover these spaces, take steps to address them. Self-education, introspection, working with a coach or a therapist or someone like me or someone that is perfectly suited to help you through those issues, as well as self-education to help fill those gaps. I wish you every luck, and if you are struggling, you can overcome it and you can, thrive. Gotcha.